Alan Mendelsohn, The Boy from Mars by Daniel Pinkwater. Chapters 35 and 36. Chapter 35. It was true. There he was, the mad guru, the guy who hung out in William Lloyd Floyd's bookstore, picking his way through the underbrush. "Well, well," the mad guru said as he approached us. "Where in Waka Waka did you two come from?" We had both realized by this time that the mad guru was not visible in both the almost identical worlds we could see. This may be hard to understand, but we were both getting used to looking at two worlds at once. It was as though someone had drawn a picture of a tree in winter on a piece of thin paper, and then traced the picture of the tree and added leaves, as if it were summer. Then imagine holding one picture over the other, but not exactly lined up, and holding them both up to the light. We could see the ruins of Hergesheimer's Oriental Gardens in winter, which was what we would have expected to see, and at the same time we could see Hergesheimer's Oriental Gardens in full summer foliage. We could see these things at the same time, and we could see both of them separately. It was confusing, but not as confusing as you might think. It was like looking at one thing and listening to another at the same time. What was surprising about the mad guru was that he was in the summertime picture, the parallel plane of existence, not in our everyday world where we were used to seeing him. "What are you doing here?" we both asked at once. "That's what I ask you," the mad guru said. "I don't ever recall ever seeing you before." "Sure you have," Alan Mendelsohn said. "We met you at William Lloyd Floyd's bookstore. We had lunch together, and we met in the street once. And then we saw you when I sold my comic books." "Are you sure?" the mad guru asked. "I think you may have gotten me mixed up with somebody else." "Aren't you the mad guru?" I asked. "No, my brother Arnie is the mad guru. My name is Lance Hergesheimer." "Wait a minute," Alan Mendelsohn said. "Are you the Lance Hergesheimer who used to own Hergesheimer's Oriental Gardens?" "I still own them," the man said. "And disappeared a long time ago?" Alan Mendelsohn went on. "Do I look as if I disappeared?" the man said. "Although I suppose when you go from one place or plane to another, you could be said to have disappeared from the place where you used to be, but one never thinks of oneself as having disappeared, because one is always right there, if you know what I mean. I didn't disappear so much as leave. What I did was leave the city of Hogborough in the United States of America, in whatever plane of reality those places exist, to come and live here in Waka Waka, just as you have." "This is Waka Waka?" I asked. "It is," Lance Hergesheimer said. "And you came here?" Alan Mendelsohn asked. "I did." "How?" "State 26, same as anybody who comes to live here. Same as you." "But we thought we were the first Earth people ever to attain State 26 by our own will," Alan Mendelsohn said. "Nonsense," Lance Hergesheimer said. "Where'd you get a strange idea like that?" "Clarence Yojimbo." "Clarence Yojimbo? The Venusian hippie?" Lance Hergesheimer exclaimed. "He's madder than my brother Arnie. He was here a few months ago with a bunch of 800-year-old men on motorcycles. Folk singers they were. He's wrong about State 26. That's how I got here. That's how lots of people get here who want to live in Waka Waka instead of their old world." We didn't come to live here," I said. I was getting a little nervous. "Of course you did, my boy," Lance Hergesheimer said. "Nobody ever goes back." This worried me quite a bit. I hadn't counted on going to live in Waka Waka. I didn't even know if I liked it. And besides, there were my parents and Melvin, the dog, and grandfather and the old one. They wouldn't know where I was. Obviously, Alan Mendelsohn was worried too by Lance Hergesheimer's insistence that nobody ever goes back. "Mr. Hergesheimer," he asked, "is it warm or cold?" "Why, it's warm," Lance Hergesheimer said. "It's always warm, or at least mild, in Waka Waka." "Do you see any leaves on the trees?" I asked. "Excuse me, young fellows, but I think you're asking me silly questions," Lance Hergesheimer said. "Is there any point to all this?" Yes, there is, Alan Mendelsohn said. We'll explain in a moment, but first, please answer the question. Do the trees have leaves? Of course the trees have leaves, Lance Hergerschleimer said impatiently. It's the middle of summer. It's been the middle of summer for 25 years. That's how the seasons are here. Every tree has leaves. None of them are bare? I asked. Not one, Lance Hergerschleimer said. Now, what's this all about? One more question, Alan Mendelsohn said. Hogborough, the place you used to live. Can you see it now? Certainly not, Lance Hergerschleimer said. I'm here, not there. Well, you see, Mr. Hergerschleimer, Alan Mendelsohn said, I think Leonard and I... Oh, by the way, this is my friend, Leonard Niebel, and I'm Alan Mendelsohn. Glad to meet you, Lance Hergerschleimer said. I think that we are here and there. I'll explain. Right now it's the beginning of winter in Hogborough, and the leaves have fallen. The trees are bare. The weather is fairly cold. We can see and feel that. At the same time, we can see and feel summer in Waka Waka. We can see you, but only in the Waka Waka summer. In the Hogborough winter, you do not exist. Well, if that is true, it's really something out of the ordinary, Lance Hergerschleimer said. I thought only extraterrestrials could go back and forth between planes like that. My goodness. Well, that's how it is, Alan Mendelsohn said. If that's the case, I'll bet you could take a message to my brother Arnie, the Mad Guru, Lance Hergerschleimer said. He's probably still wondering what happened to me. But you'll be wanting to learn more about Waka Waka. It's an ideal society. I was just getting ready to ask Lance Hergerschleimer some questions about the ideal society of Waka Waka when he suddenly grabbed Alan Mendelsohn and me by the shoulders and pushed us down behind a bush. Duck! Duck! Lance Hergerschleimer said. And don't make a sound if you value your lives. Lance Hergerschleimer crouched with us behind the bush. He was sweating. It was easy to see that he was really scared. Alan Mendelsohn and I were scared too. We couldn't see or hear anything out of the ordinary. We wondered what it was that Lance Hergerschleimer had noticed to frighten him so. After a while, Lance Hergerschleimer seemed to relax. Oh, that was a close one, he sighed. A close one? I asked. A close call, Lance Hergerschleimer said. It almost got us that time. What did? Alan Mendelsohn asked. What did? Lance Hergerschleimer repeated. The thing, without a name. The accursed thing. The unspeakable awfulness. It does their bidding. Their bidding? Who are they? Alan Mendelsohn asked. Not now, boy. I'll explain it later, Lance Hergerschleimer said, raising one finger. But, Mr. Hergerschleimer, I said, I didn't see or hear anything. Then it's lucky you were with me, Lance Hergerschleimer said. I'm especially good at sensing the presence of the unseen attacker, the invisible antagonist, the ineffable ickiness. I know when it's near. That's why I can walk around like this, in the open, with relative safety. You boys are all right as long as you're with me. When I say duck, you duck. Wait a minute, Alan Mendelsohn said. What exactly is this terrible monster? Oh, that's good, Lance Hergerschleimer said. The terrible monster, the terrific molester, the terrorist mangler. That's very good. Well, what's it all about? I asked. And who are they? I told you, later, Lance Hergerschleimer said. Now, I can continue to show you around the ideal society without trouble. The intangible trouncer seldom appears more than once in a day. Some ideal society, Alan Mendelsohn whispered to me. Lance Hergerschleimer overheard him. Everything is relative, he said. When you've seen the benefits of Waka Waka, you'll realize that unexampled eviscerator is a minor inconvenience by comparison. This I've got to see, Alan Mendelsohn said, and we followed Lance Hergerschleimer through the Oriental Gardens which bore his name. Chapter 36. Lance Hergerschleimer led us along the paths of Hergerschleimer's Oriental Gardens back toward the junkyard. When we got to the tangled bushes and the wire fence, we ran into a little trouble. While we were inside the gardens, the matter of being in two places, or existential planes, at once wasn't too difficult. After all, it was the same place in both worlds. All we had to deal with was two versions, two seasons, really, of Hergesheimer's Oriental Gardens, sort of superimposed. From the edge of the gardens, we could see two different worlds, and that was altogether another sort of thing. We could see the junkyard and the little shack where Noel Wallaby stayed, but in more or less the same place was the big tea house, the one we had seen glimpses of in Uncle Boris's film, the one that didn't exist anymore in our world. There was the highway, and there was a big Wakawakian forest growing right through the highway. There was a sort of path through the forest, which ran right through Noel Wallaby's shack, which seemed just as solid as the Wakawakian trees around it. I felt, well, sort of carsick, dizzy. "Right this way, boys," Lance Hergesheimer said. If we had followed him, we would have had to walk through the solid walls of Noel Wallaby's junkyard shack and then out into the highway where solid cars would mow us down. "Just a minute, Mr. Hergesheimer," Alan Mendelsohn said. "We have a little problem here." What do you suppose we ought to do?" I asked. "I'm not sure," Alan Mendelsohn said. He touched the wire fence which existed only in the Hogborough plane. Then he touched a wooden railing that existed only in the Waka Waka plane. "They're both solid," he said. "Do you realize something?" I asked. "What?" "We're not in two existential planes at once. We're trapped between two existential planes." "This may be serious," Alan Mendelsohn said. "What seems to be the trouble?" Lance Hergesheimer wanted to know. We explained it to him. "That really is a problem," Lance Hergesheimer said. "Under ordinary circumstances, we don't see, feel, hear, smell, or taste anything from another plane of existence. And maybe once in a while we get a sort of a faint impression, but that's all. Still, all at the same time, activity in the other planes is going on all around and even through us. When you boys came here, you probably walked right through Wakawakian trees and buildings and didn't even know it. Now everything feels solid. Am I right?" "Yes," Alan Mendelsohn said. "What do you think we should do?" "I haven't the faintest idea," Lance Hergesheimer said. "Of course, you two seem to be especially good at State 26. Maybe you could try using it to work this problem out. If not, I'll have to say goodbye. I can't be late for lunch, and we don't have very much time." It was certainly worth a try. We didn't like the idea of being left by Lance Hergesheimer trapped between two existential planes, and the accursed thing, or whatever it was, apt to turn up at any moment. We went into State 26 and experimented with the solidity of objects. It didn't take very long to get results. We found we could tune ourselves like a fine-tuning knob on a television set. We could tune Waka Waka down until it was almost invisible, just like a ghost in a TV picture. When we did that, the Waka Waka wooden railing, which could hardly be seen, was as insubstantial as air. When we tuned down Hogborough, the wire fence gradually dissolved until it was just a vague smudge before our eyes, and then we could pass our hands right through it. It took a few minutes to get used to doing this. Then Alan Mendelsohn thought of something. "Mr. Hergesheimer, when we tune out Waka Waka, do we become invisible?" "I was just remarking to myself about that," Lance Hergesheimer said. You don't become entirely invisible. If I try real hard, I can just make out your outlines, but if I wasn't sure you were there, I'd pay no attention to you. You just become sort of thick places in the air." "This may come in handy later," Alan Mendelsohn said to me. We surprised Noel Wallaby by appearing and vanishing before his eyes. When we invisibly left his junkyard, he was cleaning his eyeglasses with the tail of his shirt and talking excitedly to his dog Fafner. The forest through which Alan Mendelsohn and I followed Lance Hergerschleimer was not open and park-like like Hergerschleimer's Oriental Gardens. It was sort of dark. The trees were tall and grew close together. The forest floor was all tangled roots and rotten leaves, and wherever there was dirt it was black and slippery and smelled funny. There was a cold wind blowing through the forest. Sometimes it was so dark we could hardly see where to put our feet. I fell down a few times, and so did Alan Mendelsohn. "This place is called Mushu Forest," Lance Hergerschleimer said. "It got its name from a Chinese restaurant that existed here a long time ago. Nobody remembers the name of the Chinese restaurant, but Mushu pork was one of the dishes they served there." "There was a Chinese restaurant in the middle of a forest?" Alan Mendelsohn asked. "Oh, there's quite a bit in this forest, as you'll see later on," Lance Hergerschleimer said. "It's a nice place, really. Cool in the summer, easy to hide in, and the dreadful destroyer doesn't come here very often. It doesn't like dim places, just bright sun and total darkness." When Lance Hergerschleimer said the word darkness, he sort of shuddered. "What about this dreadful destroyer?" I said. "Yes, the demon of darkness," Lance Hergerschleimer interrupted. "I'd prefer that we not discuss that particular topic right now. Later, if you don't mind." "Well, will you tell us this?" Alan Mendelsohn asked. "Does everybody live out here in the woods? Don't you have any cities?" "Oh," Lance Hergerschleimer said. "Don't we have any cities?" He didn't sound as though he was laughing. He just said the words ho ho and so forth. "We have a city. We have the greatest city in this or any other world. We have a city, Lenny. Lenny the Great, Lenny the Rich, Lenny the Beautiful." "The city is named Lenny?" I asked. "Yeah," Lance Hergerschleimer said. "You think that's funny? You think that's a funny name for a city? And I suppose you think Chicago is a pretty name? Lenny is the name of our great city. It is named after the bravest man ever to live in Waka Waka." Are you taking us to this city, to Lenny?" I asked. "Well, actually, almost nobody ever goes to Lenny anymore unless they have to. People live sort of in the suburbs now." "Well, where are you taking us?" Alan Mendelsohn asked. "I'm taking you to my cave," Lance Hergerschleimer said. "I share a cave with a lot of other people. They're very nice, you'll see. We're almost there now." For some time I had been pretty sure that pairs of eyes were watching us through the heavy underbrush. Once or twice I thought I saw someone or something darting through the forest ahead of us. This had me worried, until Lance Hergerschleimer told us that the dismal dreadfulness, or whatever they called it, didn't like the forest. But someone was watching us. I was sure of that when I saw Lance Hergerschleimer disappear into a pit someone had dug in the forest path and then carefully covered with leaves. So ends chapter 36, Alan Mendelsohn, the Boy from Mars.